This state trooper is behind bars tonight, charged with official misconduct. You'll find out what prosecutors say he did.
The truck driver in this fatal accident says yes, he saw the flashing lights at the crossing. You'll hear why he says he kept going across the tracks.
And imagine a scene like Hurricane Floyd in our area. How would local officials handle a mass evacuation if we had to leave town fast?
You'll hear the answer next on your local news.
My parents are way into nutrition.
Family's the best. Simply the best.
All your protection under one roof.
American Family Insurance.
Seinfeld is coming up, but your local news comes first.
WICD, Champaign, Urbana-Danville, covering more of the Champaign and Vermilion County area. This is the NBC News Channel 15 News at 6.
A state trooper finds himself on the other side of the law tonight, facing drug-related charges. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Tiffany Sergeant.
And I'm Rinderle. A police drug informant has netted one of the police's own. Tonight, Illinois State Trooper Ray Thompson has been relieved of duty after he was arrested for trying to buy cocaine. Police say the deal involving Ray Thompson started at this Urbana home on Wednesday night. They say Thompson purchased what he thought was cocaine. What he didn't know, though, was it was a police setup and artificial drugs.
We saw a criminal activity. We took the criminal activity and did the arrest on it.
Police followed Thompson from that Urbana home to this Champaign motel, and it was in this parking lot that Thompson was arrested and the lookalike drugs were confiscated.
Well, we try to make sure that cases are set on their facts, not with regard to who the person is who's the object of the allegations. And so this is an example of us simply looking at what the reports are and doing what we believe is the right thing to do.
Thompson faces 3 charges tonight, 2 counts of attempting to purchase a controlled substance and a minor offense of possessing a look-alike drug. He faces up to 4.5 years in prison if convicted.
It's one of the worst things that I can think of is to cause one of my officers to be arrested and taken to jail. The only other thing would be the death of one of my officers. So it is real sad for all of us.
Trooper Ray Thompson spent last night in the Champaign County Jail. He is free tonight on bond. His job at the Illinois State Police Department, though, appears over. He has been relieved of duty and may face disciplinary action there as well. In a different case tonight, a judge denied the defense's motion for a mistrial. Orville Lynn Majors' attorneys made the motion this afternoon. Majors is the former nurse charged with killing 7 patients at an Indiana hospital. The judge made the ruling after attorneys for Orville Lynn Majors objected to what they called inflammatory testimony from Major's former roommate.
The driver of a truck hit by an Amtrak train says he saw the flashing lights, but he was already in the crossing and it was too late to stop. So the driver, John Stokes, told federal investigators he hit the accelerator to try to make it across the tracks. Amtrak's City of New Orleans train slammed into Stokes' truck last March in Bourbonnais. Stokes' transcripts were released at the end of the 3-day hearing in Chicago this week.
Local emergency officials tell us tonight that if they had to evacuate our area like on the East Coast, they would be ready. The latest on Hurricane Floyd is that it's now downgraded to a tropical storm. In Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, those streets are littered with debris at this hour. Store windows were blown out and merchandise is blowing through the wind. And many roads were closed due to severe flooding. Police were concerned about evacuating the area before the storm hit, which led us to ask our local officials, if there was an emergency here, what would they do? Stephanie Abrams now joins us with their answers. Steph?
Well, Eric, living in central Illinois, we never faced the type of widespread disaster caused by a hurricane, but Champaign does have an emergency evacuation plan in place for the other threats to our area, like tornadoes and flooding. We've all been watching Hurricane Floyd pound the East Coast, and we've seen the painstakingly slow evacuation process, something we haven't seen here. But what if we did?
I'm not really certain that Champaign City has a disaster program. Based on that, I would say probably we'd have a disaster, a chaos situation taking place.
I think Champaign would be better off because they have access to the 3 interstates.
It would require a ton of manpower. It would require probably all the resources that Champaign County has as well as the state. And if you're trying to make a road that normally went eastbound into a westbound lane, to move more cars out, that's a major difficult thing to do.
Champaign County has an emergency evacuation plan in place. In case of a nuclear disaster or natural disaster, an emergency broadcast with directions on how to evacuate would immediately go over the airwaves, and a message from the 911 center would override our cable system.
That all the agencies are familiar with on what roadways we would normally use for evacuations. Things that change that are obviously if it's flooding and you can't use that route.
And unfortunately, what you're seeing here is the best case scenario.
It's time consuming, it's expensive, it's inconvenient for people, and if we would try to avoid evacuation as much as we could.
The state of Illinois does not allow for mandatory evacuations, so when an evacuation is needed, it is encouraged and is voluntary. Tiffany.
Okay, thanks a lot, Stephanie. Well, about 60 more people from our area are headed out east to help the victims of Hurricane Floyd. Illinois Power sent 25 two-person line crews plus supervisors and mechanics to New Jersey. Crews will help a utility that's anticipating severe wind and damage from Floyd.
Participate and help by sending some of our workforce to restore power. It seems like, frankly, the right thing to do to help a neighbor.
The Illinois Power employees come from communities throughout its service territory, including Champaign, Danville, and Decatur. Well, the effects of Hurricane Floyd can be felt at Eastern Illinois University tonight. Officials at EIU had to cancel tonight's appearances by comedian Rich Ramirez and lecturer George Saliba. The airlines grounded both of their flights due to bad weather conditions in New York.
It's rippling down, too. Well, if you ever get a little nervous while passing a semi-tractor trailer on the road, you're definitely not alone.
Next, we'll have tips on staying safe on the roads. Plus, you usually see them on cars, but not only can you find plenty of license plates here, you can also take a unique trip through history.
And this local student got quite a surprise today. We'll show you what happened and why.
Have you heard the one about the two Lutheran ministers who had divine intervention in Rantoul? This is a golf story you won't believe. I'm Scott Andreasen, and we'll have that story in sports.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Twin City BMW Honda.
That's right.
Attention, responsible drivers.
Actually, Drivers Direct saved me about $400 a year.
You heard it. Drivers Direct can save you up to $400. With Drivers Direct, you can get fast claim service, free quotes, and special discounts with one simple call. What could you do with an extra $400? Call 1-800-333-8320 for a fast free quote. See how much you can save. Call now. 800-333-8320.
They waived your deductible.
Because my minivan was parked. I wasn't in it. I've got Ohio Casualty Group. If it had been totaled, heaven forbid, they would have bought me a new van. As long as it's under 6 months old and 7,500 miles. It's their new car policy.
What's that cost?
Nothing. It's standard in every policy.
We've had Ohio Casualty Group longer than we've had you two.
Michael, you work hard. Go with the company that understands that and helps you protect what's yours.
Extra time.
Can you give me that agent's number?
No.
Please?
Beg me.
Dateline Friday, some men go to great lengths to find love. These guys went all the way to Moscow. Will they find happiness or heartache? From Russia with Love, I'm Jane Pauley. Join me for Dateline Friday at 10, 9 Central on NBC.
You're watching the news source for Champaign and Vermilion Counties, NBC News Channel 15, with Eric Rinderle, Tiffany Sergeant, Jerome Ritchey with weather, and Scott Musgrave with sports. The news continues.
One of the nation's top truck drivers was in central Illinois today, armed with tips on how you can drive safely around trucks.
Drivers say the most important thing to remember is leave plenty of travel space between your car and the truck.
The motoring public, when they're out driving around trucks, they have to remember that the no-zone area, were known as blind spots, was anywhere from 100 to 200 feet behind a tractor and trailer.
Gerber says when you cut in front of a truck, you should realize that it can take the semi up to a length of a football field to stop.
Well, the first new license plate for the state of Illinois in more than 15 years will be unveiled next week. Secretary of State Jesse White plans to announce the winner of the license plate contest on Thursday. And as Dave Hiller reports, one man in Clinton will be watching very closely.
Open the door to Norman Huff's garage and you're greeted by a very unexpected sight. It's wall-to-wall license plates. From one end of the garage to the other, Norman has posted every single license plate ever issued by the state of Illinois. This is his beloved 1953 plate, the first one he owned.
It was on a 1941 Hudson, and that's what I drove when I was in high school.
Illinois issued its first license plate in 1911. You can see it up there in the left-hand corner. It was a big, clunky plate, and some folks didn't like it. In 1912, Illinois issued this mesh license plate. As you can see, there are holes all over the plate. Back then, folks were concerned the front plates would make their radiators overheat, and so the mesh plate was born. The mesh plates lasted only 7 years because folks decided it was just a nutty idea. But the mesh concept owns a unique spot in license plate lore.
I think Illinois was probably the only state that did that.
As the years passed, plates became cheaper and flimsier. Take a look at this 1978 version. In less than 1 year, it rusted right through. Norman admits he's a saver, but it's a trait that doesn't bother him in the least because saving license plates has been fun every step of the way. Dave Heller, News Channel 15, Clinton.
And just in case you're wondering, in the license plate contest, Norman says he voted for number 9 because it used script to spell out the word Illinois. He has a couple, doesn't he?
Yeah, add to his collection.
That's
Did
right.
you vote for the license plates?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
I kind of missed that too. I wasn't registered, so I couldn't vote.
Oh,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jerome.
Exactly.
I've blown it
Skewed
again.
the whole thing. That's
what
right.
are you going to do?
Nice night out, though.
Very nice. Very similar to just about every night this month. Low temperatures in the 40s and perhaps some sunshine for tomorrow. Show it to you coming up next.
Hello, Ileana. This is Win C. Smith of American Chevrolet Oldsmobile Cadillac, and it's 99 model closeout time. Fantastic savings on all remaining 99s. Like this S10 for $12,985, Luminas discounted $3,500, Malibus for $248 monthly, Metros for $87.23, Blazer just $335 monthly, Silverados only $317 monthly, extended cabs discounted $3,000. But hurry, Ileana, these bargains won't last forever. Only at American Chevrolet Oldsmobile Cadillac in Danville.
Hi, it's Coach Don Harden from the Fighting Illini volleyball team. It's time for another exciting season of Fighting Illini volleyball. Come on out to Huff Gym and support the team.
Get fit and support Illini volleyball at the Fitness Center. We have something for everyone. Free supervised playroom, cardio kickboxing, racquetball, personal training, and free fitness evaluations for members. Come in, see for yourself, get fit, and have fun.
The Fitness Center in you. It's time to get fit.
Because the model year-end deals are really heating up at the great Lincoln Mercury 10 event.
Go!
Check out the hot new 99 Mercury Cougar with its 16-valve engine, tight suspension, aluminum wheels, and one kickin' sound system.
Go!
The best part? Right now you can score yourself a sporty Cougar starting at just $16,790. The cars are hot, and so are the deals. So,
Oh, go!
to the great Lincoln Mercury 10 event on now.
Go!
Only one RV show has Fleetwood Motorhomes, and it's the exclusive Fleetwood RV Super Show hosted by Stouts RV in Indianapolis. Don't miss the huge selection of Fleetwood Motorhomes side-by-side. Shop gas, diesel, and slide motorhomes all in one location, all with Super Show pricing. It's the only place to shop Fleetwood Motorhomes. Parking is free, admission is free. It's a buyer show. It's the Fleetwood RV Super Show hosted by Stouts RV in Indianapolis on I-65 or call 800-255-7670.
On the next episode of Seinfeld. This is so f***ing good.
I ran into George yesterday in the city.
Every word out of my son's mouth now is
Cursing is not something that most comedians do.
What the you doing, you little bitch?
Thursday evening at 6:30.
Our weather for most of this month of September 1999 has been relatively uneventful, almost monotonous, just one beautiful day right after another. So why should tomorrow be any different? Well, it's not going to be any different. It's going to be almost identical to today. Those clouds you saw were kind of isolated over the eastern side of the state. Basically, Illinois was completely clear, is completely clear at this hour. Just a little patch over east central Illinois, but that will be diminishing in the overnight hours when we're expecting clear skies in mid-40s. Yet again, the below normal temperatures continue because of high pressure stalled out over Iowa right now, keeping the Midwest real clear, and it's stalled because of, as we've been saying, the effects of Hurricane and now Tropical Storm Floyd. It's holding off these systems as they attempt to move in from the east or from the west and move down from the north. There you see two high pressure cells just kind of sitting there. And boy, the effect of this high is reaching all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So we have clear skies in our forecast. Here's what's going on with Floyd. He was just downgraded this afternoon to a tropical storm. He's losing strength pretty quickly, but he's moving rather quickly too, clipping along the east coast at about 30 miles an hour. Now, there is another hurricane out in the Atlantic, Hurricane Gert. She's still a Category 4, barely a Category 4 hurricane, which is still very strong, but the current projections keep Gert out in the Atlantic. She's expected to turn north and perhaps go back out to sea. So right now, it doesn't look like Gert's much of a threat for the U.S., but hurricanes have a mind of their own, and they can change their mind very quickly. So we'll keep an eye on Gert for you. No rain for the next couple of days, basically, for the U.S., except for the upper New England states. And this is the remains of Tropical Storm Floyd snaking on up the east coast and into Canada with showers and thunderstorms still provided as of 7 o'clock Saturday morning. Still expected to be falling in those regions. Tomorrow, 72 degrees, almost just like today. Current temperatures are in the 60s and 70s. Let's run the course here, shall we? 72 in Mattoon, Danville's at 71. 70s down to the southeast in Paris and Petersburg. Bill and Sue Marshall have 66 in Cissna Park. Mark Morphy checks in with 69 in Rantoul. Decatur is the coolest at 65, another 71 in Bloomington. Here at NBC News Channel 15, 68 degrees. Broken clouds, 44% relative humidity. It's dry, dew points at 45 degrees, barometers over 30 inches of mercury, and we have northerly winds at 13, 71 and 48 the high and the low, and a low pollen count, and a low amount of rain in the rain gauge, just barely 1/10 of an inch this month. 45 degrees under clear skies tonight, sunshine tomorrow with 72. Clear and calm tomorrow night, 45 degrees again for tomorrow night. And no rain in the forecast until the weekend, Sunday afternoon and into Monday early. But that will be triggered by a cold front. You see temperatures dropping from 75 on Sunday down to 65 by Monday. Wow. So a decent chance of rain right now for late Sunday. We need it too. Yeah, we're real dry this month. All right.
Thanks a lot, Jerome.
Well, coming up in sports, a golf story you won't believe.
And Louisville head coach John L. Smith talks about facing the 2-0 Illini. Scott Andreasen is next.
You were raised on it. Grown to know it. Like the back of your hand. Learned what it takes to get the most out of it. When you've been around as long as dirt, you get to know it awfully well. So have we. DeKalb. Real proven results.
You meet a lot of nice people on the job.
Hi. Russ from Prudential. Your wheel has a little tilt to it. I bring the computer with me to every stop that I go.
That's neat. You bring everything with you.
You don't want to keep the people waiting. You want to get out there for them right away.
I think I'm getting a very good value with Prudential. I'm very happy with how quickly they come right out, look at my car, and cut me a check on the spot. Great.
Lunch break.
Sitting at a red light and bang.
How's everyone okay? At Prudential, we just want to have a happy customer. We want to get their vehicle repaired and back on the road immediately.
He must have a huge wireless bill.
Nah, it's Primeco. Same thing I got. Free voicemail, free caller ID, no annual contract. Yeah. If it wasn't for Primeco, I couldn't even afford wireless.
You guys ready to get back at it?
All right, who messed up my pretty work?
I don't know, but he's barefoot now.
Right now, get a $30 mail-in rebate on all new digital phones like this $99 AudioVox phone for only $69 after rebate.
Go ahead and call. It's Primeco.
Drive better, drive best, drive University Auto Park's best used cars. The best no-hassle way to buy pre-owned. Our best used cars come with a 2-day 100% money-back guarantee, a 2-week no-questions-asked exchange policy, and a 2-month bumper-to-bumper warranty. It's the best you can drive. Every make, every model, car, truck, van, and sport utility. Drive better, drive best, best used cars at University Auto Park, Urbana.
And it looks like Louisville, but it's Louisville. Or Louisville.
Louisville.
I'm sorry, my
Louisville.
bad.
Louisville. That's how they pronounce it.
I've never been there.
That's all right.
Swallow it.
It's really, it doesn't matter if it's Louisville or Louisville. It's just another
Louisville.
bump in the road for this Fighting Illini football team. The first 2 weeks weren't test enough for this Illinois team. Louisville is certainly the real deal. Ripping through Kentucky and Chattanooga, the Cardinals averaging 57 points a ball game. And top that, their defense, top notch, at least against the run. They're ranked number 1 in the country. Pass defense, well, that's another story. But to listen to Louisville head coach John L. Schmidt, the concerns with the 2-0 Fighting Illini, a team he's trashed the past couple years.
Illinois is much, much improved. They're a good football team. Beat a good football team in San Diego State. Big, physical-looking guys. You look at these guys, you think, hey, this is definitely the personnel-wise the best team we've played this year. So we're gonna have to go out and play.
6 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. Here's a good story. Have you heard the one about the 2 ministers who went golfing in Rantoul? And there was divine intervention. This is no joke. This is a true story. Aim Osterber and Marv Remmer went golfing in Rantoul on Tuesday. Both Lutheran ministers, they came to number 10 at Willow Pond. On the par 3, Aim knew he had a good shot. In fact, thought it was pretty close to the hole, but couldn't see where it landed because of a bunker.
I had a real good shot. I know it landed close, but we were far enough over to so that we couldn't see over the sand trap and see where the balls were at.
Marv stepped up moments later, and he hit a great shot. In fact, he thought it was close to the hole.
I knew I had a good shot, because, and we really said, we both got a good shot. That's really what we said to each other.
Now, when the two walked to the green, imagine their surprise when there was only one ball sitting there, and that was just about 6 inches from the pin.
When we got to the green, I saw one ball about 6 inches from the hole, and Aim, the other Aim Osterwer said, well, maybe one rolled off.
When I started walking that way, Pastor Remmers came and looked at the ball, and he says, hey, guess what?
Lo and behold, here was one in the hole.
So there you go. One ball about 6 inches from the cup. The other, a hole in one. You can imagine the excitement. But there is a problem. Call it a twist of fate, or with these two gentlemen, maybe divine intervention. But before they got to hole number 10, Aim switched balls, one he found on the course. To make a long story short, both golfers hit the same kind of ball. So, who had the hole-in-one?
There we are, with two balls, one in the hole, one in behind, and so one of us has a hole-in-one, and I don't know which one.
We were kind of shocked. We really didn't even say too much about it. We didn't know who to be jubilant. We were just happy for somebody, see it. So we finally decided we'll just both claim that.
So you make the call. Divine intervention to let both think they have hole-in-ones? Or a nasty prank by, well, that other guy down there to make both a little bitter at the other?
I figured that the Lord loves the humble, and it was his way to try to keep us humble. So Neither one of us can brag.
Divine intervention, or is this a nasty trick by that other guy?
I think it's the Lord's way of keeping us humble, like Pastor Rimmer says. Either that or it's irony.
So if these guys aren't ministers, do you believe this story?
Oh yeah,
it's incredible.
It's a hard-learned lesson in humility, isn't it?
No, they both put ones on their scorecard. That's what they told me.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
And they both play with different type of ball now.
From now on,
exactly
yeah.
right. Exactly
Like a
right.
hot pink one or something.
One's yellow, one's pink.
That's right. Thanks, Scott. Well, a typical school day turned into one with a TV camera and a special surprise for a local student.
You'll hear his story up next. Stay with us.
Edward Jones Investments, helping individuals build financial security since 1871.
Hello, Liliana. This is Win C. Smith of American Chevrolet Oldsmobile Cadillac, and it's 99 model closeout time. Fantastic savings on all remaining 99s. Like this S10 for $12,985, Luminas discounted $3,500, Malibus for $248 monthly, Metros for $87.23, Blazer just $335 monthly, Silverados only $317 monthly, extended cabs discounted $3,000. But hurry, Ileana, these bargains won't last forever. Only at American Chevrolet Oldsmobile Cadillac in Danville.
The French know it by its reputation as the finest giftware in the world. Christophe Silver and Giftware.
O'Brien's Jewelers' collection of Christophe silver, china, and crystal will make the perfect gift that will be appreciated for many years.
Giving a gift of Christophe from O'Brien Jewelers says you care enough to give the finest.
O'Brien's Jewelers on Glen Avenue between University and Sheridan, Peoria.
And in Champaign, look for our purple awnings on our building on Neal Street, north of I-74.
Quarter figures show a strong uptick in gross revenues with a corresponding increase in pre-tax profits. The market, of course, looked upon this very favorably, and the resulting surge in our stock price brings our market capitalization to within 10% of year-end projections. To elaborate on what this means for them.
Great. But it's not anything that I was looking for. And it's caught me off balance, rather, which I'm not used to. Makes me rather nervous.
Elizabeth, I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know how I feel. And I feel like I found something amazing. And I want to be here. I want to get to know you. Not be scared.
He's weakening, but it's far from over as Floyd still poses a serious threat to the New England states. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Tiffany Sergeant.
And I'm Eric Rinderle. Hurricane Floyd has now been downgraded to Tropical Storm Floyd as it makes its way up the East Coast.
It could have been one of the worst hurricanes in history, but as Hillary Lane reports, it will most likely go down as the storm that could have, but didn't.
The path of destruction is almost on every TV channel. It's on the front page headlines in newspapers, and it's there when you turn on the computer also. Floyd may seem a million miles away, but it's as close as family some people have in our area. They have family in the affected areas. Our Dave Malkoff has the story of a local man who's feeling the dark side of Floyd. Dave?
Well, it's pretty frightening to watch these powerful storms on TV, but you see just how vulnerable the East Coast really is. But when it's even worse when your loved ones are right in the storm's path.
Floyd, or any hurricane for that matter, keeps us glued to the screen. But for the people who work in the satellite-connected world of live television, it feels even closer.
We're 30 away from the hard start.
Phil Voorhees works right in the thick of it, where all the pictures are cabled into the Champaign area. We call it master control.
Working here at the station, you see the weather, you see the eye of the storm, you see how intense it supposedly is going to be.
But for Phil, it's personal.
Well, I have a cousin that lives down there, family member that lives down there.
His cousin Jenna Butler calls Wilmington, North Carolina, home.
Their basement was filling with water. They said the street out in front of their house looked more like a river than it did a street.
Down there, the power's out, but the phones are still working. I talked to Jenna Butler earlier tonight from her home on Ground Zero.
Philip actually had called yesterday when the winds just picked up. And then it when the eye passed, it subsided for a little while, but then the the other side came, and that was even worse. Rain gets driven sideways, and it smacks into the windows, and you have twigs and leaves, and then you hear sounds.
Jenna Butler's got a lot of cleaning up to do, but she's safe.
Which that relieves me a great deal.
Dave Malkoff, News Channel 15.
While residents on the East Coast are suffering the wrath of Floyd, help from Central Illinois residents continues to pour into the East. For that part of the story, let's turn to our Dave Ferguson, who's live in our newsroom. Dave?
Good evening, Tiffany. About 60 Illinois Power employees from this service area left around 2 o'clock this morning. They are headed to New Jersey to assist in what's expected to be severe damage there. Tropical Storm Floyd continues to pound the East Coast. Heavy rain and strong winds at Champaign so powerful, help from the outside is needed.
So if we can participate and help by sending some of our workforce to restore power, it seems like, frankly, the right thing to do to help a neighbor.
Floyd is centered on the New Jersey coast, the exact spot where about 60 employees from Illinois Power are assisting. The volunteers will help a utility that's expecting the unexpected.
These are two-person crews that can go out and manage the storm, sent some mechanics and supervisors to make sure that the workforce is safe and that the area is safe.
Champaign Fire Chief John Corbally knows the importance of a mutual aid agreement. He says Champaign doesn't operate under a national aid agreement, but rather countywide.
And the purpose of these agreements is when a community or a fire department exceeds their available resources, we can call upon a neighboring community to come in and help us out.
Take the courthouse bombing in Urbana in April of 1997, for instance. Area firefighters were called to assist. Just this year, a local mutual aid agreement was needed in Champaign when the East Side Lumber Yard on Oak Street between John and Daniel caught fire.
We prepare for most things that we can handle within our own boundaries, but there are times when we have to go outside and get help.
In 1998, IP assisted Consumers Energy and Commonwealth Edison after severe storms knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of customers. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Dave Ferguson. Tiffany, back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dave, for that report. Well, Floyd's forced evacuation has many locals questioning how our area would handle a similar situation. Champaign County would never have to face a hurricane, but a flood, chemical spill, or nuclear disaster could cause a mass evacuation of one area. Emergency officials already have designated routes and were located so that we do have routes north, south, east, and west.